What's up guys, it's Eric from B-Side. Today we have another 2014 to 2021 Lexus GX460 here, and we're going to be installing once again our plug-and-play CarPlay Android Auto retrofit, the part number LGVIF-CB4W. The last time we made one of these videos for this specific vehicle, it's been about a year, maybe a little over a year. So I just wanted to just make a new video and just incorporate some new things that we found out after doing all the installations, and just to make your life a bit more easier on the installation side, just to provide more details on areas where we receive more questions and so forth. So I'm gonna try to be as detailed as I can, and hopefully this will help you guys, to the new and also the old customers. All right, so let's get inside the car and let's start our install. All right guys, so we're in the vehicle. Let's go ahead and get started. First thing we wanna do is remove the shift knob. Just push down on the shift boot. Then just turn this counterclockwise and go ahead and set it in a safe location. And let's unplug all these peripherals for now. All right, and we're going to remove these two panels here. You could use a panel removal tool like this, or you can just grab a hold of the corner here with your finger and just pull it out, and just keep working our way to the front to remove all the clips. We'll do the same for the driver's side. All right. Okay, and next, let's remove this center location. All right, so just grab a hold of this and then just a corner and move it up. You can use a panel removal tool as well if you like. Okay, the cup holder will want to come out together, which is okay. We're actually going to remove the cup holder, which we haven't done on our previous installation videos, but we're going to do it for this time. And make sure before you remove this, you do have to press down on the release and change the gear. If you're on an incline, your car will roll. So make sure your side brake is on, okay? And make sure you push that in pretty hard. Okay, so I'm gonna push down the release lever. Gonna move the lever down to about neutral, push it up. Gonna be able to pull this out a little bit, which exposes 3 connectors. Push down on the connector and just kind of wiggle it out. Don't pull on the wires because you might damage, or you might actually end up pulling them out of the connectors. And there's also 2 connectors up here. One of them's for USB and one of them's for auxiliary. So go ahead and just push down the release, pull it out. Go ahead and just set this aside in a safe location. All right, so while we're here, let's remove this cup holder too. So just raise your armrest and just pull this up. So it's being held by clips. Look under it. Remove this connector here. Once it's all exposed, let's go ahead and remove this part here. You could use a panel removal tool if you like, or you just grab an edge of this, just pull it out like so. Bring your way in. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, next we're gonna remove this. Pull this out with your hand, or you could use a panel removal tool. Just bring it out and just pull it out like so. All right. Okay, and then now we're going to remove this garnish piece that surrounds the engine start button. Once again, you can reuse the panel removal tool. You could just use your finger and just pull it out. Okay, and then let's remove the connector for the start button. Just push down our release tab and pull it out. And then stick your hand down here. There's a little panel piece here. Just grab it out like this. Let's remove all the 4 10mm bolts. I mean 6 4 10mm bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so once all those bolts are out, lay a thick towel here so you don't scratch your radio against your shifter. Okay, we're gonna pull this out. Just grab a hold of this. Just wiggle it out. Okay, and then we're gonna remove the top screen as well. So same thing, just grab a hold of this, just pull it out. Okay, and once you do, let's remove all the connectors behind this. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 connectors. All right. We have 1, 2, 4 connector. This one was empty because this car doesn't have the 360 camera. If you have the 360 camera, this is also going to be occupied. So keep that in mind. And later when you reinstall this, especially do not forget to reconnect this connector. Without this connector, your emergency lights are not going to work. Okay. All right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect all the connectors behind this radio. We'll bring it out, use a panel removal tool for this, the largest connector here. There's a little locking mechanism. You're going to push it down and release it, and then you're going to push it up. All right. And just take note of all the connectors and the locations, because you're going to want to make sure everything is reconnected, or else something's not going to work, right? So if you look over here, all the connectors are occupied except for the brown connector, okay? So make sure when you're reconnecting everything, all the connectors are going to be occupied, okay? So it's going to disconnect everything. And when you're disconnecting these, once again, press down on the release tab, okay? And pull out on the connector. Do not pull on the cable. All right. There it is. All right. So we got all the connectors out. All we have is a big hole here. Everything's just out. All right. Let me go ahead and show you what's inside here. We have the RF antenna here. This will give the wireless signal between module and your phone so that you can connect wirelessly via CarPlay or Android Auto. We have our video interface. This is responsible for feeding the video into the car screen and be able to use a touch screen and all that to work with CarPlay or Android Auto, and for it to switch in and out of the CarPlay mode. Okay, so this is it. You're gonna have a tag here, tells you what lot and also what the dip switch configuration should be. For this specific Lexus GX, it's 1 on the down position, everything else is on the up, which means 1 is on, okay? And we also have here the wireless module. This is responsible to feed in the CarPlay or Android Auto program into this video interface, which shows up into the car screen. And we have this big harness here, just big harness, fat one. This is the main harness, and this will connect to your radio, between your radio and also those 2 boxes that I just showed you. And in this harness, you're gonna have these little jumper wires here. It's already gonna be pre-configured, so do not mess with it. This one's not configured yet, brand new, but before we ship it out, we configure it. And for your GX, this orange and the white wire should be connected like this. All right, okay, I removed all the little wire ties, get it ready to install. And we also have this auxiliary cable, and we also have these 2 GVIF cables. These are the cables that connects to the top screen. All right, one is labeled in and one is labeled out. All right, we also have this HDMI cable. I'm gonna just keep it tied up like this, and I'll undo it later. And we also have this USB extension cable. All right, and we also have some zip ties and some foam tape to help you insulate the products. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave this down here. Here it is. Let's start off by connecting our largest connector here. Okay, I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna go behind the radio area, right in the center. You'll find a matching connector. We are going to install it just like that. Okay, and this side is going to connect to the radio. Okay, and these cables and wires that you see coming out of this, we are going to route it behind and under all the way to the ground. All right, so let's just set it here for now. We're going to organize this a bit more later, okay? All right, and then we also have this auxiliary connector. We're going to connect it here. Okay, this side is going to connect to the radio, and we're going to route this 3.5mm jack to the same area we routed the other cables. And then we have these 2 GVIF cables. One of them you'll find the female side will connect to here like this. Okay, Okay, the male side is going to connect to the screen. So we're going to do that later. But these two, green side, will need to connect to the interface, the video interface box. So we're going to route this from behind where the screen is supposed to mount all the way to the floor. And make sure to not tangle the wires. Try to not cross them either if you can. All right, we'll keep it like this. We'll keep this hanging down here. And you want to try to keep all the wires that you're routing to the left side. And we're going to zip tie them all together onto this later on. All right, so previously we used to mount these boxes over here, which works fine. But this time we're going to try to mount it utilizing all this space here because it could kind of get crunched up here. And at the same time, this area could get hot after a long drive because of the heat from the transmission. So you can either add some insulation to these boxes, or you can just try to find some areas here where it's a little bit more separated from the area that may get hot. And alternatively, you can also mount it behind the screen too. Up here, there's actually a lot of room behind the screen, and GX Bob actually did a very thorough installation showing you how to install it behind the screen. So you have quite a bit of choices behind the screen. You could go here or you could go around here. So I want to remove the cup holder today just to show you how much room is actually available for you to mount these boxes. All right, so before we reconnect everything, just make sure to organize all your cables and wires. We want to route everything towards the left here to be zip tied to this factory cables. But before we zip tie it, I want to make sure I leave enough room for this cable here. This is going to be the shortest one, and that's going to have a little bit of pull on it. So you want to make sure that you're using as much of this cable as possible. So because of that, I'm not going to zip tie it yet, okay, until everything is in. There's going to be a little bit less room to zip tie, but it just works better that way. And on top of that, if you look at our kit, you'll find this small foam tape. We're going to use this. I'm going to wrap this small GVIF cable to this factory wire here. All right. Okay, let's do that. So now we got left with 1, 2, 3, 4 for the top screen, and we got a bunch of cables for the radio. And once again, when you're reconnecting these cables to the factory radio, you want to make sure that everything is occupied except for that brown one, okay? So we got another one here coming from the left, so don't forget. So let's reconnect this, and while you're reconnecting it, just make sure you don't overlap or tangle things up between other cables. So you want to try to keep everything as straight as possible. So here is the radio, and the reason why we're connecting the radio first is because it's just easier. There you have more room to work with when you're connecting the radio first. You can see it from the top. That's why we're doing the radio first. And before you start to work around this area, you want to make sure you protect your radio from this lever, your shifter lever, because that is what will scratch up your radio if you're not careful. All right, so this is where you want to separate all the cables in the center to the top, okay? So you don't want to connect any of the top screen connectors to the radio, because if you force it enough, it might fit. So don't do that, and you're going to end up breaking something. So keep all the top connectors on the top, all right? And let's start to reconnect these, okay? And just be very careful when you're doing this, okay? All these connectors has a place that it connects to. It only has one place it connects to, okay? So make sure you're getting it all in the correct space. And when you're reconnecting them, you'll never need to force them. Like, everything will connect pretty easily without much force. So if you see yourself having to press really hard on it and it's not going in, and you're just like jamming it in there, it's probably not for that hole, that connector. So like, stop pushing it in, okay? Especially, but then for our aftermarket one, you do have to give a little bit of a push, okay? Like that, and you'll hear it clip in. Okay, we got the big one here. We're gonna loop this on the top. All right. You wanna make sure this lever is up, in the up position. Okay. All right, there it is. Okay, so when you're pushing everything back, there's this connector here, right? The big connector part that connected to your factory. So you want to try to keep it as flat as possible. And then there's more room behind the radio, so you could actually push it up. Okay. Make sure you're not tangling up or pinching any wires when you're doing this. Just triple check all the surroundings of the radio. Looks good. We got these. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. These are connectors to the upper screen. All right, start connecting them all back. Make sure you reconnect every connector. All right, don't forget to connect. Okay. See GVIF connector, that goes to our kit. All right, there it is. All right, so once you have connected everything, when you're pushing the top screen back in, before you do so, if you already pushed the bottom radio back in, you do have to pull it back out because the correct order of putting everything in is actually the top screen first, okay? So make sure you put in the top screen first and then the bottom radio, or else these little tabs here will get caught. And if you don't realize it and you just end up jamming it in there, you will break these little tabs on the bottom of the screen. So be very careful with that and just make sure always put in the top screen and then the bottom radio, okay? All right, there it is. Next, we're gonna go work on this area down here. So I'm gonna gently pull on these cables to make sure there's no loose wires. If there's any loose wires, I wanna make sure it's down here. All right, so I'm gonna push this all over to the left side. And I'm gonna put it next to the factory cables. And I'll grab my zip tie that comes with the kit. There's actually 2 zip ties. All you need is one. And we are going to zip tie all of these wires and cables coming down related to our kit to the factory bundle of wires. And the reason why we do this, if you don't, your door in the center will not close. All right, terrific. So we got that down, and now we're left with all these wires. Before we connect them, let's find a good place for these boxes. So I did a little bit of a test fitting here earlier. I'm gonna place this box here. Seems like this is a good place for it. So let's add the foam tape that came included with the kit. There's 4 of them, these longer ones that look like this. And once again, this is just one of the ways this kit is installed. There's many different ways to do so, and the Lexus GX gives you the luxury of choosing where you want to mount these boxes. We're just trying something a little different today. Okay, so we are going to actually face this down to the bottom, the HDMI cables on the bottom as well. All right, so we're going to grab these 2 GVIF cables. We are going to loop it around down here and connect it here. So the one that is labeled GVIF in is going to be connected to the outside here. And the one that's connected, that's labeled GVIF out, is going to connect to the inside. All right, and of course, you don't have to connect it from here. If you have a hard time connecting from there, just bring it out here, connect it, and then you could push it in there afterwards. All right, and then let's connect our HDMI cable. Okay, pushing it down here. Just be careful not to give stress to the HDMI connection location. So here it is. It's our HDMI cable. We'll just let this sit here for a little bit. And of course, we got to connect this too, right? Forgot to connect this. So we're going to go back here. We're going to connect it right there. So when you're connecting this, make sure you connect this correctly. The part that has the tab, the release tab, faces top, okay? And make sure you're connecting this in the correct orientation. If you don't, you end up popping this and you end up breaking the interface, okay? And it's not cheap to replace. So make sure you get this connected correctly. Okay, so where we're gonna mount this today is we are actually gonna mount it back here, right behind this bracket. So between this bracket and this side panel piece here. So let's add some foam tape. And when you're applying this foam tape, make sure you don't cover the vents. All right, so this goes for the other interface box as well. So just take note of the vents. Do not block it. You do want these to be vented so that it could keep cool during operation. Okay, so since it's going to be mounted down there, let's route these cables from under here. Okay, and let's connect these cables. So we got the power cable, and we also have the microphone is going to connect right next to the USB. It's going to be labeled microphone here, okay? And we're going to connect the audio to this corner here, line out, all right? It's gonna be labeled line out right there. It's covering it because of this foam tape. Let me see, there it is, line out. All right, and then the only other connections we're left with is the USB and also the RF antenna. This RF antenna, let's tuck it down here, around here, under the carpet. So let's route the cabling. I'm gonna leave the RF antenna just hanging over here for now. And let's connect it here, all right. And then let's also route this USB extension cable. I'm going to go under here, keep the female side just hanging out on that side. Then we'll connect this here. All right, so now the only thing left is this HDMI cable, which connects the two boxes together, the video interface and our CarPlay module. All right, so let me clean all this up and then carefully place it in the location I mentioned earlier. Our kit only comes with 2 zip ties, so if you don't have any more zip ties, you can also use an electric tape just to organize all these wires. Okay, next let's organize these cables going to the video interface. Have some excess wires here that we're going to zip tie down here along with the factory cables. Got that, and then let's tuck in this antenna. So we're gonna tuck this in under this carpet down here, actually. So you don't even have to remove the adhesive if you don't want to, but you can if you want to. So we're just gonna tuck it in right there. That should do. And then this USB extension cable, just gonna let it hang around here. Around this much slack is good. Okay, and now you're left with these factory connectors back here and all these wires from our kit pushed to the side. Okay, there it is. All right, cool. Before we put everything back, let me go ahead and just do a quick test. So we're going to connect this back, and if you disconnected the negative terminal of the car's battery, go ahead and reconnect it now. And then when you first turn on the car, you'll notice a black screen and you'll see the loading screen. Wait until everything fully loads and then we could conduct our test. So test was successful. Everything seems like it's working. So let me reverse order everything we just did, and that will conclude the installation. All right, so this USB here, just go ahead and push it. Try to keep it as flush as you can here. And we're just going to put it over this just a little bit. All right, like so, okay? Around there. So this is so that you do not have to drill any holes to your car's interior. One thing to note is if you have a difficult time putting this back here because one of the clip holes are being blocked by the video interface, you may have to adjust the video interface. You could push it up to be able to make enough room there. All right, and then we are done. All right, guys, we just finished installing our kit, and now you are just left with this USB extension cable here If you don't like it here, if you don't mind drilling holes, you could put it down to your under your armrest. You could even put it under there. You could hide it. You don't even need it if you don't want to use it. But it is good to have because it actually charges your phone at 2.5 amps compared to your factory one that only charges at 1.5. So it will charge your phone faster than your car would. And now that everything is connected, how you want to use this is right now our phone is connected wired, but typically you'll want it to be connected wirelessly. And to do that, first make sure your phone is connected to the car's Bluetooth. So go to your audio, go to source, select Bluetooth, and if it says portable player is not connected, connect to it, connect to your phone. If it's not connected yet, go to your setup and go to Bluetooth and add your phone into it. Make sure that is set up. We're not setting that up because it's our customer's phone, so we're just going to show it to you wired, but you will want your phone to be connected to the car's Bluetooth. And once your phone is connected to the car's Bluetooth, leave it in the Bluetooth audio, and you want to press and hold the nav button, which will switch your screen over to this screen here. This is the CarPlay screen. If you have an Android phone, it'll be an Android Auto screen. If you don't have anything connected to it and you press and hold the nav button, you're going to see this 3 icon screen. This means nothing is connected, okay? So right now it's connected here, and from here all your functions, your CarPlay, Android Auto functions will operate like normal. You could go to your maps, okay? You could drag it around, you can swipe, you can summon Siri, ask for the weather, okay? You can also, if you put your car into reverse gear, your reverse gear camera will show, and when you come out, it'll go back to your CarPlay or Android Auto screen. You can also pick up and hang up the phone calls. You can also raise and lower the volume here or here, and you can also use the track up and down from here and also from your steering wheel control as well. So it works just like factory. This is the same kit that's being offered at Lexus dealerships across the US as well. If you like connecting your phone to the car's USB because of its audio quality, you can also do that. So after your phone is connected to the CarPlay device wirelessly, you can actually connect your phone to the car's USB, and you'll be able to utilize CarPlay while the audio is going through the USB. You can also do that as well. If you're going to do that, make sure your source is selected to USB, or it's going to show as iPod. I believe it only works for iPhones. For Android, I don't think you could listen to the music through the USB on the Lexus. Okay, let's keep that in mind. Or if you want to just make it a very easy experience, keep it on Bluetooth mode. Connect your phone wirelessly to our CarPlay. So when you first turn on your car, your phone will automatically connect to the wireless CarPlay and the car's Bluetooth at the same time, so that you don't have to think about it. And once you turn on your car, everything connects automatically. So that's the easiest way. All right, guys, well, that concludes our installation, our quick demonstration of our plug-and-play CarPlay Android Auto retrofit. This is applicable from 2014 all the way to 2021 Lexus GX with factory navigation. If you don't have factory navigation, or if you have the 2010 to 2013 model, we have separate videos for that. If you want a more thorough video on the demonstration part of this, we have a very long video showing you exactly how it works and demonstrating all the small features about it. You can check that out in a separate video that we made months ago. Other than that, if you have any questions, leave a comment below. I'll make sure to answer to you guys directly. And if you're interested in purchasing this, it's available at bsonicusa.com. Thanks again, guys, for watching. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe and like button, and I'll see you guys on the next video.